Hey, Shalom, Most High in Christ. Bless them also, Aaron and Israel united in Christ. And today we have another good lesson going over the information and history of the people of West Africa. Now, today's lesson will be dealing with the coast of Guinea. Now, the coast of Guinea encompasses Nigeria, Benin, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, and so on and so forth. So many of the countries of West Africa. So we're going to be going in through one of these books, going through the history of these people, the customs that they kept, and how they relate to the people of the Bible, the Israelites. So we're proving today that the people of West Africa are the Israelites. Before we go into the book, I want to show you all a map here. It's an old map, and it says Negro Land and Guinea. So as you look through all these different sections, it's highlighted differently. You have Zahara or the desert, which is Sahara Desert. You have Negro Land, and then you have this big portion, which is a portion we talked about, which is Guinea. Now, when you look through here, you'll see the Slave Coast, Gold Coast, Grain Coast, and Benin. Now, the part that I really want you all to focus on is the part that says Great Benin. So when we go through this particular book, you'll see the reference of these particular people here in this land. All right, so let's get into it. Page 121. Having done with their clothes, let us see how they educate their children, with which the men never trouble themselves in the least, nor the women much indeed. The mother gives the infant suck for 2 or 3 years, which over, and they able to go, then turn out brutes. If it be hungry, she gives it a piece of dry bread and fends it abroad. So what it's going into is how they breastfed their child for 2 to 3 years. There's a very specific custom that you see within these people. Now we see the same thing throughout the scriptures. So we're going to read 2 Maccabees chapter 7 and verse 27. And she bowing herself toward him, laughing a cruel tyrant to scorn, spake in her country language on this manner: O my son, have pity upon me, that bare thee 9 months in my womb, and gave thee suck 3 years, and nourished thee, and brought thee up unto this age, and endured the troubles of education. So it mentioned the education and mentioned giving the son suck for 3 years. Now you may say there's a very small, minute detail, but as we keep going through this book, you're going to start to see that there's a very big detail to who these people are today. All right, let's go to the next page. So now we're going to go to page 447, still dealing with the women's custom. Now it says, menstruous women are here deemed so unclean that they are not permitted so much as to enter their husband's house, or to touch anything, either to dress the domestic diet or clean the house, or indeed on any other account. Nor are they permitted so much as to look into much less enter several houses. But during this natural uncleanness are obliged to reside in a separate house, though as soon as that is over and they have washed themselves, they are restored to their former state. If they are asked who first taught them circumcision and believe menstruous women unclean, they reply that they do not themselves know, but that those customs are traditionally handed to them by their ancestors. And this is the common answer of all blacks. So the next custom is the honoring of the moon in the book of Numbers chapter 10 and verse 10. Also in the day of your gladness and in your solemn days, in the beginnings of your months, ye shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings and over your sacrifices of your peace offerings, that they may be to you for a memorial before your God. I am the Lord your God. So the Israelites on a monthly basis kept the new moon, where they honored the moon. That's how they knew their months was coming. That's how they dealt with their feast days, based upon the moon. So we see our people on the Gulf Coast did the exact same thing. So now we're going to go on page 456, dealing with the Sabbath day. Their Sabbath happens every 5th day, which is very solemnly observed by the great, with the slaughter of cows, sheep, and goats, whilst the commonality kill dogs, cats, chickens, or whatever their money will reach. So what you'll see in page 456 about their Sabbath, they kept on the 5th day, but also they slaughtered goats, they killed sheep, And many of them end up killing dogs, cats, chickens, and whatever they could find to suffice them celebrating their Sabbath. Now we go to the Bible, we see the same Sabbath, but you'll see differences. And as we go through this lesson, you'll see why there's differences between what they did and what we see in the Bible. So there's Exodus chapter 20 and verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy maidservant, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. So you see in the scriptures that the seventh day was the Sabbath day. But you look at our people on the Gulf of Guinea, they celebrated on the 5th day. So we're going to touch on the differences and why they're like that. So before we touch on the customs and why the difference between the Israelites and the people of the Gulf of Guinea at this particular time, we're going to go back to 210 because I want to touch on a few points that they mention. So this is page 210. But whence the custom of holding women unclean and circumcising of children should be derived from, I own, I cannot tell. To carry it up as high as the Judaic times seems to me too far. So this Edomite, or this white man is saying, William is saying that to him it seems too far-fetched for this custom to be connected to the people of the Bible. But as you keep reading, it says, though several Europeans favor this assertion, urging that the Negroes still retain several laws and customs which favor of Judaism. Now, when you look at some of our people that follow Judaism now that live in West Africa, they're following modern day Judaism with the chains on their neck, the different customs that the Talmud follows, but they're not actually of the Bible. They're different. Now, as you keep reading, it says, as that last mentioned, the honoring of the new moon at the time when the Jews began their festival. So if you look into Judaism, modern day Judaism, they don't celebrate the new moon. They don't honor the moon as the Jews of the past did. Two different people. But all this cannot in the least incline me to their opinion. So William is saying that I don't believe that they are celebrating the customs of the Jews. I don't believe that these are those people. I should be more easily persuaded that they had all these from the Mohammedans. So William believes that the customs that the people of the Gulf of Guinea were celebrating were because of Islam, that what they learned from Islam. But we're going to show you that that is not true, because Islam was founded in 622 AD, 600 years after Christ had already came and gone. And what they did was they took the custom of the Jews and they copied it and they switched it around. And then you see all these different versions of what the Jews did in Islam with the beard and the pork and things of that nature. You see similarities because our people served up under the Mohammedans. Well, I'm going to show you that real quick. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 64. So Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 64. Now, this is one of the curses that God said would come upon the Israelites, God's chosen people, would come upon the Israelites if they were disobedient to his commandments. Now, verse 64 says, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. That stone is representing Islam. Now, it's going into our people being scattered all over the earth. Now, when you look at the history of our people in Africa, we originated in Jerusalem. And we fled out of Jerusalem because of persecution of the Romans in 70 AD. Now, we start to go further and further deeper into Africa. And as we went deeper into Africa, we went into different slaveries under the Africans, because the Israelites, the Negroes, are not Africans. Went under captivity under the Africans, as well as the Arabs, or what they call the Mohammedans. So we served their customs and their religions. And that's why you see a lot of the things that our people did as far as the Sabbath and how they kept them on the 5th day, how they circumcised their sons, but they also circumcised their daughters. They got these customs from the other nations as they mingled amongst them. Now we can show you that again. Let's go to Psalms 106. This book of Psalms, chapter 106 and verse 34. They did not destroy the nations concerning whom the Lord commanded them, but were mingled among the heathen and learned their works. And they served their idols, which were a snare unto them. So we served these other nations. We mingled amongst them. That's why you see so many similarities between what we do and some of their people. You see a lot of the idolatry and the voodoo and the witchcraft that we learned amongst these nations as we mingled amongst them. It became a snare unto us. That's why you see these Dutch people that came in that were able to conquer our people and write all these books about how they conquered us, they enslaved us, they sent us to Brazil, they sent us to the islands, they sent us to America. Some of us even stayed in the land to this very day. So let's go back to the book on page 210. And it says, I should be more easily persuaded that they had all these from the Mohammedans, whose religion is mere rhapsody of Christianity, Judaism, and heathenism. So these other nations, they know themselves that Mohammedans or the Islamic religion is just a mixture of a bunch of different religions. Christianity, Judaism, or what they call Judaism, and heathenism. All these things mixed together. They understand that. But what he doesn't understand is that these customs that these people are keeping on the Gulf of Guinea are the customs of their ancestors. It's not a mixture of Christianity, because Christians don't honor the new moon. They don't keep the Sabbath. They don't follow circumcision. They don't follow the menstrual separation. They don't follow none of these things. Heathenism, they don't follow that either, right? But let's see. Why don't the people of the Gulf of Guinea know who they are? First and foremost, we already read in Deuteronomy 28:64 that they would be scattered and they would follow other nations. But let's go to Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 4. Book of Jeremiah chapter 17 verse 4. And thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. Now God is talking to Jeremiah and to his people, telling him that your people would discontinue from their heritage that he gave to them. Remember we read in Genesis chapter 17 about how Abraham was given a covenant with the Lord and how he would be their God. That was their heritage, which came with the laws that we read about, the Sabbaths, the new moons, and so on and so forth. And it says, and thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled at a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. So because of our disobedience, God made us lose our heritage through slavery. So don't think because you're still in Africa that you were never slaves. You served these nations throughout periods of time where you forgot your heritage. You forgot why you celebrate the things you celebrated. As we read many different portions of this article, the man was saying that they never remembered why they did it, but they did it anyways. It's because it's a custom that was passed down over time. But that's it for today's lesson. I pray you all was able to get something from it. Our people on the Gulf of Guinea, you are the true Israelites. Come back to your customs, come back to the Bible, leave the Mohammedan religion, leave Christianity, leave the heathen customs, the idolatry, and come back to God's commandments. Shalom.